So the next question is, who is your favourite interior designer / architect designer, and why? Brackets. This is a really interesting one, I think, for me, because I have a few, and I don't really follow interior designers. I'll be perfectly honest. It's not something which I pore over. I buy very few magazines, except for when I'm scheming and I'm trying to show tear sheets, which I've spoken about before. The general consensus for me is I'm tunnel vision. I only look at my own stuff. I'm not bothered about what anybody else is doing. However, on the odd occasion when I am exposed to different people's work, ones that I particularly like, I've always liked them and I've continually liked them. A couple in particular who I think are really talented, and I think that out of two of them, I think maybe one, maybe even both of them may not have had any sort of serious sort of degree, interior design course, qualification whatsoever. But let's go and have a look, because I think that's the first thing to do. We've spoken before about Kelly Hoppen, and she has a very, very, very much a signature style, and a lot of them do. And certainly the ones really that I'm going to speak to you about today have their own sort of style. This is really it's what they like doing. So the first one I'm going to look at is Kit Kemp. Kit Kemp is a lady who is sort of one half of a duo. She's technically, I mean, she's a creative director, which is generally what I call myself half the time. And she is somebody who is the other half of Ferndale Hotels. So you can kind of sort of see over here, this is Ferndale's Hotels. So you can kind of see this is the sort of thing that Kit Kemp does. What's good about it? What's good about it is the colour, and the colour is something which a lot of designers don't put in. If you can sort of see here, we've got yellow walls. It's a print. It's a plique effectively going on here. You've got one print on the sofa. You've got another print on the cushions. Got another print on here. People don't use print. It's so sad, and this is why I love Kit, because she's one of the few people that goes bold, and people don't sort of go bold. I'll be honest, a few people have copied her, and I consider that. I think if I was Kit, I would consider that a really good, a really nice compliment. So all the sort of the blue and green. This is perhaps something that I would be looking at. This is something I'd be paying attention to, how this is upholstered. And sometimes this comes from the upholsterer itself. So this is the other thing to watch. Don't always put designers on a pedestal for these types of things. I've spoken about this before. It's a collaboration, and builders putting things in, the artistry of actually putting panels in here and wallpaper and whatever else you're doing. From here, it's the same sort of thing. You've got different lamps that you've got going on here. Don't think you have to be different, but it's quite nice. It's quite quirky. Other things that she does, again, artwork is one of the big things that she focuses on. I think she's probably one of the few people that really makes this her own. Then we have other sort of rooms, and sometimes I think it's quite nice to do something. Simplicity is the master, which is one of my mantras. But again, here, the different way that the chair is upholstered, putting it together, people wouldn't put it together with this particular wallpaper, and obviously you've got paneling over here as well, different frames. There are a lot of things that a lot of people would say, oh, you shouldn't do that, and everything has to be matching and everything has to be symmetrical and minimalistic, etc., and it's just not the case. So Kit is one of my sort of design heroes for that. I also love her headboards. Now, because they're in hotels, it's it's not exactly anything which is going to be sort of being, it's not going to surprise anybody. Obviously, there's beds in hotels, and if you're going to make a focal point of a room, it's going to be with a headboard. So she does things such as this, and actually, this is a really good thing and a really nice thing, I think, to do. And you can kind of see the detail here that she's done. Other things, she's showing you the detail here of what's going on. She's very much into different contemporary fabrics. She gets quite a lot of her interest from different artists, and whereas she does have some fabrics of her own, she gets a lot of other design fabrics. Christopher Wray, and a few other, Pierre Frey. There's a few others that she gets them from as well. They're not necessarily the most cost effective. They can cost quite a bit, but they are quite unusual. They're quite nice fabrics to use, and they're very homely, and that's what you're trying to evoke, really, think about it, in a hotel. So this is a lesson in how hotels can be, and they're very different from what you would find in some of the other hotels that you would find, such as Ian Trager hotels. I remember when they they things like the Sanderson Hotel opened up in London, and everyone was freaking out because there was you see it everywhere now, but it was a sofa in the pair of lips, but it was so unusual, and everything, it was all white, wafty, literally sheer curtains dropping from the ceiling to the floor. There was this huge long bar, it's still there. And then he did another hotel, and it was all that very minimalistic, all very lighting. It was nothing of this whole kind of colour and very sort of intimate. You just didn't really get that in there. Intimate didn't come into it. So this is what you'll get in these hotels, and they're very different, and they're very interesting, and they have a certain look, and that's from the Ferndale Hotel. So this is what she does. So it is all artwork. This has been around absolutely ages. These things, you can get these are quite popular, but unless you refresh hotels up, they are going to look dated for a certain period of time. This was new when it came out, but I've always been impressed at her courage of putting colour in. Yes, as I said, she doesn't have to deal with a client, if a normal residential client, man and wife, saying, I don't want that. So this is something which she doesn't have to deal with, but it's good nonetheless, and I say fair play to her. So Kit Kemp is one of the people that I would look to. Now, Nina Campbell is one who doesn't have a design degree, and she has a daughter who also works in interior design. I find her sort of stuff very interesting. It's not overblown. There is some detail to it. It's not the cutesy, almost folksy type that you would get with Kit Kemp, but it is something which is, shall we say, it's colourful, it's plush, it's rich, it's elegant. Much like, I think, some of her clients, really. She works in London. Again, not as a mad. The colours are slightly more muted. Again, all of this, you have to imagine that all of this is styling. So things which are scattered apparently at random aren't scattered at random. Do not be swayed by the things that you see on Instagram and these interior designers showing you projects without the sweat and tears and the blood that's been spilt and all the rest of it. You never. This is what people think that it all is. They think that it is all, bouquets of little flowers and books, neatly piled up. It's not how people live. It just isn't. And so these have been styled specifically for this website, particularly for her website, and that's how it is. But these are websites or interior designers who have been doing things for a long time are a very good place for you to start looking at how things are sort of put together, that you can put these types of chairs with this type of table with a mirrored cabinet at the back, and if you were doing outside work, what else you need, maybe you need to provide some throws and shawls for when it's cooler weather, and you need storage in bathroom because where are all the towels going to go? It's that type of thing, and it's just a way of doing It's this the way of doing design. Veer has been going for a long period of time. I think that the whole team that he's got with him now at the moment, I think there's got to be 10 or even more of them now. Architects, designers, junior designers, senior designers, all working on different things. So the projects that Veer does are lovely projects. And I think if I'm thinking about it honestly, if I had to pick a favorite out of all three of them, it would probably be Veer. And you can kind of see what type of thing you've kind of got to play with. Again, execution is going to be key for this. This is a family home, but it's obviously going to be some maybe like period property, but you have to bring newness and you have to bring modernity to it. And this is why. You have the light, which is going on here. You have the light, which is obviously coming from a light well here. You've got a plant sort of falling down, so you don't, it's not just one, if you think just some light source coming down, which is good enough on its own, frankly. If you can get any chance to bring natural daylight into somewhere, do it. And don't even think about it. Don't think about doing otherwise. But it's the other side of things. It's very, dare I say it, very British. Other things, use of design. I've seen these before. Veer is not the only person that will do this type of thing, but it's worth noting. You won't get this when you start off, let me reiterate that, because this is somebody who's got a lot of money. These are clients who have got a lot of money, otherwise they wouldn't be getting Veer. But at the same time, all of this sort of stuff, you'd have to pay. This all costs money. Pelmets, fabric, the making it, the lining it, the putting it up, all the intricacies around, putting in the bookcase in there, painting around it, everything. This has to be really thought out well, which is why there's a team of over 10. And it sort of like goes on in other places. So he's very fond of not just putting in a bed and a headboard, but rather like how Kit Kemp had a headboard and that was the focal part, and you need to make it, beautiful and lovely, but just get in and out. Let's not gild the lily, as the saying is going. Here you have somebody who's just using the old-fashioned way of putting in a 4-post bed in a country house, but this is a little bit more simple. So basically we're looking at brass beds, and it's very sort of Victoriana. You have basically some kind of seagrass or some kind of natural carpeting, but you've got a nice comfy rug over the top of it. You've got a chair to put your stuff on, if you know what I mean. And it's not just a lovely curtain pole that you can get. You can get some fabulously beautiful, ornate curtain poles. This is all hidden. It's probably on a track behind here. And then you've got the lovely pelmet at the top. And it's, if you can sort of see, it's molded. It's sort of scalloped. So you can see it around here. So it's that type of thing. And let me just have a look at another sort of bedroom, which this is. Again, you can see the scallop that you've got going on there. And you have what would be seen as a very chintzy, florally chair, but works really well in here because it's got a pretty much, it's like a modern classic, as I would call it, a modern classic with a classic table. So you're bringing in modernity with all of this. Again, natural carpets with this over the top. So this is hard wearing. You can just swap the rug out when you get bored of it or it wears out. This is what I mean. This is thinking practically, and this is a really good thing to do. Other places, obviously this is still in the Norfolk house. You can see it's kind of old school. So you're doing things. You've got a dado rail going around the side there. That's old school place, but it all looks fresh and modern. There's nothing dated about it. You have to think about the type of clients that you're going to be getting, because you will get the same type again. This isn't somebody who wants this. If you think about it, this design isn't this isn't Kelly Hoppen black, grey and white. It's not even Kit Kemp folksy artisan bold colour with a bit of a twist. Do you see what I mean? It's actually very, very it's very, very different. It's almost old school English, but it's not the glamorous. You wouldn't say it's necessarily glamorous, which is the more Nina Campbell. So there are subtle differences. So this is a little bit too old school for me with all these prints, but these could be heirlooms of this person who's got this private residence in London, if you see what I mean. So this is kind of how you want things to sort of look and how they will sort of look, but I wouldn't. This or the stuff is too much going on. Be an artist, or it could be a curator, or it could be somebody who works for Sotheby's. So they may want this. They may be really into their drawing, or their father may be an artist. This could be the artist's work themselves. So you never know what you're going to get, but you kind of have to look at it. And yet more art, on the walls going up here. I do hope you've enjoyed it. It's been fun for me to go through because I never have a chance to have a look at these things. Thank you for subscribing. Lovely to see you all, and I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next time. Happy designing.